Welcome back to Quiet Waters Currents. Most of the time on the show, we talk about real estate, buying, selling, investing, and all the decisions that come with putting roots down near the water. But if we're being honest, real estate is usually just the result of something bigger and deeper. People don't just move here for the square footage or lot lines. They move here because of how a place makes them feel. And a big part of what makes this area so special is the local businesses, the places that give a town its personality, the spots you bring friends when they come to visit, and the places that make a random Tuesday afternoon feel like a vacation. And that is why we're going to start sitting down with local business owners who are building something meaningful here and doing it the right way. And today's guest is a perfect example of that. I am so excited to welcome my friend Dan Callender. Dan is a former Marine Corps officer who had a simple but bold idea along with his business partners, Zach and Dean. They wanted to open a brewery in Surf City that felt local, laid back, and very rooted in the community. And 8 years ago, that idea became Salty Turtle Beer Company. Since their founding, Salty Turtle has grown right along with this town. Now they're just opened up a brand new bar location right on the beach, which honestly kind of feels like one of those, how did this not exist already moments. It's called Salty's Surf Shack. And today we're going to talk about that journey a little bit. We're going to talk about the risks, some lessons, and what it takes to build a business in a coastal town where tourism, community, and military grit all collide. And that is why places like this matter just as much as the homes that people live in. So I'm really excited to dive into this interview with Dan. Dan, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate you hitting us up and trying to learn more about our story and the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you guys have been a staple for Surf City and for my family for a while now. And you've had Salty Turtle for a while now, over 8 years. Congratulations.
Nice.
But this new beach bar feels like a pretty big milestone. Can you kind of take us back to the moment when this idea first felt real?
Yeah, so I think it was probably a year ago around this time is when we started realizing the town was shopping around ideas to rent the space out, look for prospective, tenants and stuff. And honestly, you didn't really think to have a shot at trying to get it. I think they did like an open house in March. I know Zach and Dean went to go meet, Kyle and the town manager and the town folks. We kind of talk shop, talk business. And it turned out that we were pretty much the only one that seriously put an offer in to go forward with this project. So we were pretty caught off guard. We were surprised. Again, it was kind of like, what's next? And this opportunity came to us, and we're like, hey, why not?
No doubt. No, that's awesome. What was kind of looking back to before it opened, like what was the hardest part of, going from like, oh, this would be a really cool idea and it would be really fun to execute this someday, to actually opening the doors right there on the beach in Surf City?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that was the grapple was to the numbers, just making sure the numbers lined up and made sense. Obviously the rent was a little high. So all of our numbers and our, our spreadsheets that we tried to do were all projections that we just didn't know. They're all what ifs. But at the end of the day, you can't really, without any risk, there's really no reward. So we try to be super conservative with our estimates of, our upfit costs along with our projections for what we think it's going to make, and made sure they work. And once we figured out, hey, this might work, then we went forward with the lease of the town, and went back and forth a few times for little things, but overall, here we are, and we got our doors open uh, before the new year, technically. So, really surprised that we're able to pull this off. I mean, those guys, Dean and Dak, really busted their butts to make sure that place is, open by January 1st.
Yeah, you guys have all done a great job, and yeah, it's already a hot spot in the community here, and Surf City kind of has its own personality. So how did the town itself kind of influence the look or the feel or the vibe of Salty's Surf Shack?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I think there's not enough like oceanfront hangouts, right? I mean, you have a few, restaurants and beach bars around town, but I feel like for the size of Surf City slash Topsail Island, you're very limited on where you could enjoy a beverage or enjoy a meal right there looking at, the beach and the waves and the water. That was kind of our purpose of that space. Um, it's not very big, but the windows itself, as soon as you walk into our bar and tap room or whatever you like, call it, a surf track, um, we wanted to highlight the ocean front. So those windows that just look out to the ocean are such a huge hit. And we strategically put seating right there. And I mean, those are the first tables that get, used up when we have, a typical good day. Like those are high value, I guess, tables for folks to sit on and watch people surf, watch people, enjoy the water. I'm very good about.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place, and you guys have done a great job with it. We always kind of we realized that was a hidden gem. We did a client event there over a year ago now, and when we kind of discovered it, we were like, I can't believe this place is here, and it didn't seem like it was used very often just from driving around and seeing it. So I know the town is excited to have not just anyone there, but especially you guys who have already kind of done so much for the community around here. And on that note, um, local support for sure matters a lot around this area. So can you talk a little bit about how the community has really shown up for you guys through this process?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that first week when we were doing our soft openings, friends and family, just testing the waters, making sure everything was ready to go for the public. People walk in with the mayor, you had town members, town council members, you has other business owners, just congratulating us and just appreciating the upfit that we did to the building. I mean, just like you said, is a lot of people didn't know what that building was or who could use it and what it is. But now that we have it, we plan to be open 365 days a year, 7 days a week. It's just another kind of spot for, not only the locals, but also, the tourists when they come to town to kind of just enjoy Surf City and what the town have to offer. But I mean, personally, I was very overwhelmed with the support from friends, family, local business owners, and of course the customers. It was just it was gratifying, and knowing that, like, just hearing all the compliments about the space, it was kind of it was like, oh man, maybe we did do the right move. Again, it's hasn't been summer yet. It's been not even a month of being open. And we still have some money to pay back, obviously, with the upfit. And we're still working on the deck. So we've got a big project to the deck. We're going to reheat it as well. So we'll have a little bit more seating outside that will look the ocean as well.
Nice. I didn't know about that. Are you just expanding
Yeah.
that deck space, making it bigger?
Yep. So that gazebo can get torn down. We're going to add a new gazebo, and then the deck is pretty much going to stretch up to Daddy Max and then to the end of the building. I think it's about 700 more square feet added to the existing outdoor space like you had. So that should be pretty good for folks to kind of enjoy, sunset, sunrises, just on the dips, just being on the beach and having the beverage of your choice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's get nerdy for a little bit about beer. So for someone who walks in and says, "Hey, I don't really know anything about beer, but just give me something good," what is your first recommendation and why?
Yeah. So Kirsten Kolsch is a gateway, I guess, gateway beer for, or gateway craft beer for most folks that don't really typically drink craft beer. 6%, nice, easy jet going, like German Kolsch style ale that appeals to all kind of palates. But the funny thing is with salties, we actually got some domestics on tap too. So we didn't want to, offend anyone. So if someone was looking for a domestic, say a Michelob Ultra or a Pacifico or, something that you'd see at, your normal bar, we got it too. So we don't want to shun anyone away with just salty bitter beer. We wanted to kind of open the doors for all folks to enjoy, back to just having that nice space. And it's okay. Maybe, later down the road, they'll, grab a Kitzline Kolsch or a Las Vegas, a Mexican lager, or even a hazy IPA and realize like what they're missing out on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Nice. So let's zoom out a little bit into talking more about like entrepreneurship, if you're okay with that. So owning a brewery, I mean, it sounds really cool. I'm sure until you're the one like hauling around kegs at 6 a.m. or something. What what part of this business do people never see but should maybe have more respect for, in your opinion?
I think paperwork and employee management. Those are definitely the behind the scenes. And that's what I think every business owner can relate to is a lot of folks that don't own businesses or entrepreneurs. They always see what's on Instagram or what's on social media. When they see you, you're happy, you have drink in hand, you're talking to customers and stuff. That's all fun and games. But the late nights, the early mornings, like you just mentioned, are where the money's made. You have to, you have to do your taxes. You gotta, get your picture, but like paperwork in order to be able to pay your employees. If not, then you can screwed, obviously. But I think employees number one. I mean, having a great set of employees pretty much carry you, and they've been carrying us for the 8 years. Like you could only do so much. I know as owners, there's three of us that you'll often see at our locations. With that, we can only do so much. Without our employees, we'd be back at square one, out of this small little tap room, and probably not being able to expand just because we're gonna sell ourselves, or we're gonna burn ourselves out by just being there all the time. So you can't find good people to trust and be able to carry on your expectations. If you can't find them, then you gotta be SOL essentially. Um,
Yeah, well, you guys got a great team, man. Everyone there is so nice and polite and just, willing to talk and just good people for sure. And I remember when you guys started up and when I was just first kind of getting into real estate and, we were working together on something and I would come to the Salty Turtle and meet you there. And like you and Dean and Zach were like, you were there well before, the bar opened. And I'm sure at times well after it closed down. But yeah, your team is awesome. And kind of on that note, like what advice would you give someone who's dreaming about starting a business in a beach town where everyone else is on vacation?
Patience. I think a lot of patience is needed because, when tourists come to town, obviously we want to earn their business, but also they're here for a vacation. So you got to understand that and realize that, you're here to spend their money, but also like they want to have a good time. So, knowing that and having that understanding is pretty crucial for business owners here in town. But also that local connection. I think if you shun yourself away from your locals, your year-round residents, which we have a lot of nowadays, you're gonna do yourself a disservice. So I think when we first started, my first instinct when we wanted to start this brewery was not only we have that turtle name, that theme, we went straight to Karen Beasley or not Karen Beasley, sorry, Jean Beasley, and asked for a blessing to be able to donate a portion of our sales over to the Cedar Hospital. So we pledged, before we even opened that, hey, we're going to donate a portion of our beer sales to her every quarter. And that's going to just, help, her mission and their mission on, ensuring that, our sea turtles are properly savable. And I think that has a special place in a lot of people's heart, especially here in Topsail. And just being in touch, you got to be in touch with other local businesses and then the community. So you got to remember this is still a small town as much as everyone thinks, oh, it's the city's, crazy booming and all this stuff. And yeah, it is. But at the end of the day, we are still a small town compared to other big cities such as Charlotte or Raleigh or even Asheville.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think there's this feeling in Surf City where, we're experiencing a lot of growth, but there still is like this small town beach feel where, I don't know, it's almost like the full-time residents appreciate the vacationers. Without that, our town wouldn't be able to, run like it does. But also it's fun to like live where people vacation. But along those lines, there is still a feeling of kind of camaraderie. At least I feel it among like small business owners and people in this community who realize it's kind of on us to, keep the vibe of the town, so to say, where it's at, where it's like relaxed, beautiful place. We're trying to steward it well and keep it nice. But yeah, you guys have definitely done a great job at that. So let's fast forward a little bit now. So what do you and Zach and Dean, do you have kind of a vision for, say, like 5 years from now? What do you all hope that, Salty Turtle represents to Surf City besides just the good beer?
Yeah, I think we always want to be that pillar, be a pillar in the community, and we don't want to change that whatsoever. So, even as we grow and continue to expand from tap room to tap room, we want to ensure that customer service, first and foremost, is always going to be there. Beer quality, obviously, you make beer, so we want that to stay up to par. But just being in touch with where our roots are, and I guess every tap room or bar that we might open, we just want to make sure that still had that same feel as if it was 2017 and we just opened our doors for the first time. As to your question, where do we see ourselves in 5 years? I don't know. We kind of pivoted over the course of 8 years of what Salty Turtle is going to look like or what it should look like. I think the market dictates that. Obviously, right now we're in this kind of standstill of breweries opening. Actually, there's the statistic right now that the more breweries are closing than they are opening, and I think that was true for last year or 2024 and 2025, and I think it's gonna show up again here in 2026. So I think we want to just poise ourselves and be ready to accept that and understand that, and then pivot what we need to in this beverage kind of world. We also see the rise of THC. We don't personally make any THC offerings, but we do sell it from other manufacturers. We'll also be poised to, hey, what if there's another brewery or tap room that is for sale at a pretty fire sale essentially. Maybe that might be the right market for us to pivot into. So our biggest thing is to keep that as low as possible and be able to just kind of mend and be flexible with whatever the market dictates. And at the end of the day, the market's going to dictate whatever it wants, and you just need to be ready for it.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds very wise. I think that's a good strategy. What if you could ask like the community for something, people love supporting you guys and your business. Like, is there anything that you all, particularly need now? Or if you could ask kind of the community for help in an area, what would that be?
keep drinking our beer, keep spreading the word. Even if you're not drinking our beer, just, share our social pages to your friends and family. A simple repost is huge on social media. Obviously, we know how great and how big social media and influence it has. And it's free. So it's free to, like, post or like, reshare, and tag, other folks to, local businesses, and obviously not just Salty Turtles, but just anyone on the island. I think we're all 2025 was just a weird year with, the economy and, things. And I think 2026 will continue that. So I think it's important for people to still shop local and support local, but I know that comes with a price, So obviously that full shop local slogan is nice to say, but what does your wallet really tell you to do? You just gonna try to, save a buck here or two. So either way, I mean, I don't think there's a call that I want, but just, little things I think make a huge difference. And just telling your friends and family when they're in town, hey, come buy Sloppy Turtle. Place does, good vibes, great beer, and great people I work there.
No doubt. No, that's awesome, man. All right, cool. Well, last question. If you're spend the day on the beach with your family, sandy feet, maybe a little sunburn, and you go to the Salty Surf Shack, what is your beverage of choice there?
Man, probably like our Mexican lager. It's so clean with slashing 4.5%. You really can't go wrong with it. It already has a hint of lime in it when it's brewed. So it's just something that kind of just get the feet up and enjoy. If I were going to go the cocktail route, but we also have slushies. So we've been experimenting with a pina colada that we have like a slushy machine for, and it's a little bit of rum, that gets you in the right spot, and a few different cocktails too that I think you'd be enjoyable for all kind of palates too. But personally, something easygoing beer, Las Vegas, so you can't mess it up. And then also pair it well with, a taco at Taco Taco. We could order in from our bar and tap room just from your phone. So that's pretty convenient. So you have Taco Taco gifts. So get those huge lines during summer. So skip the line, just order from your phone and let them deliver it to you.
Nice, man. Well, that sounds great. And yeah, we're actually just talking in our team meeting today. We're gonna do a little just team camaraderie get together next Friday at the Surf Shack.
Cool.
So yeah, man. Well, I hope to run into you there soon. And thank you so much for sharing today and coming on the show. And thank you for everything you're doing in the community and for taking risks. I'm sure it didn't, you didn't feel like the 100% warm and fuzzy when you guys opened, like you were talking about earlier, but man, it's inspiring to others to see what you guys are doing. So yeah, keep it up, man. And let us know what we can do to support you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, that wraps up today's episode of Quiet Waters Currents. Huge thanks to Dan Callender for taking the time to share his story and for building something awesome that genuinely adds to the fabric of this community. We're so grateful to be surrounded by people like Dan and Zach and Dean, and I'm just grateful for them taking the risk to create something lasting. If you're in Surf City, do yourself a favor and stop by Salty Turtle Beer Company. Grab a beer, take in the view, and support a local business that's doing things the right way. And as always, if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing along the coast, we're here to help you make confident decisions in a place we are certainly proud to call home. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Quiet Waters Currents.